Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Legal Environment of Business at Ozarka College. Today what I'd like to do is give you just a little bit of feedback on the chapters 20 through 22 activities that I finished grading this morning. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for chapters 23 and 24 next week. Okay? So the first thing is, like I said, I did finish grading the chapters 20 through 22 activities this morning. Go ahead and look at your grades for those activities and read the grading comments and let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. If I did have to count any points off, I tried to be very specific on why I was counting those points off. But if you do have questions after reading the comments, just let me know. Most of you did well on the chapters 20 through 22 activities. And like I always tell you, I really appreciate the time and effort, hard work that you're putting in. So keep up the good work there. On the discussion that we had for chapters 20 through 22 that dealt with the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, or EFTA, I thought that went really well. It looked like most of you looked at the case that I assigned and said that the EFTA would apply to that case. But as I explained in my last reply to that discussion, the EFTA actually doesn't apply in this particular case because it was a credit card that was used for the transaction instead of a debit card. And the EFTA, as the book explains, only applies to transactions that are carried out with a debit card. Okay? There are other laws that deal with credit card transactions. So in this case, the EFTA would not apply. And so if you didn't read my last reply to that discussion where I explain all of this, go ahead and do that and let me know if you have any questions. When you're looking at a particular case like this in business law, the first thing you have to do is determine, which laws apply given the specific circumstances of the case. And in this case, like I said, this was a credit card transaction, which immediately should have told you that this EFTA does not apply because this was not a debit card transaction. This was a credit card transaction. So it's just little things like that that sometimes you have to really be careful when you're looking at a legal case like this. And of course, this is the first thing that a judge would look at when hearing a case like this. Is the first thing they have to do as a judge is determine whether that particular law applies to this particular case. And so just kind of keep that in mind. And like I said, read through my replies to that discussion and let me know if you have any questions there. All right. So that brings us to what we've got coming up due for chapters 23 and 24 next week. So right now we are on kind of the end, the last part of week 11 of the semester. And of course, we just had our work due last night. We don't have anything else due this week, but we do have work due towards the end of next week. So you've got just a little over a week to be working on chapters 23 and 24 activities. So you've got the assignment, test, and discussion all due by Friday of next week, which is November 7th. Okay? Basically a week from tomorrow. All right? And chapter 23 deals with negotiation and discharge of a negotiable instrument. And of course, in chapters 20 through 22, we just kind of introduced, we got kind of an introduction to negotiable instruments, what they are, the different types, and so forth. And then chapter 23 and 24 basically takes that basic information that we learned in chapters 20 through 22 and expands on that as far as negotiable instruments are concerned. So again, Chapter 23 will cover negotiation and discharge of a negotiable instrument. Specifically, you'll learn about the endorsement requirements for a negotiable instrument. You'll learn about the different types of endorsements, the liabilities of the endorser, and the various ways that a negotiable instrument can be discharged. Okay? And then in Chapter 24, you're going to learn about the liabilities and defenses specific to negotiable instruments. So in Chapter 24, you're going to learn about things like the types of liabilities for negotiable instruments. You'll learn about something called the holder in due course. In fact, our discussion for Chapters 23 and 24 will have to do with a specific case of holders in due course. All right? And then also in Chapter 24, you're going to learn about holders of consumer paper and limited, universal, and hybrid defenses to enforcement of a negotiable instrument. Okay? So there's quite a bit there in Chapters 23 and 24, so go ahead and get started as soon as you can on those Chapters 23 and 24 activities, and make sure you're using all the resources that are available to you that are on the assignment page. Of course, also your textbook. And just like I said, let me know if you have questions as you're working through those activities. And that's really all I have for you for today. So enjoy your weekend and enjoy next week. And I probably, since our next assignment's not due to the end of next week, I probably won't do a video next week. It'll probably be early the following week that I'll talk to you next. All right, so I will see you then. Thank you.